What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Chris Pennell here, breaking down the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol at Iowa Speedway for another short track race this weekend. Unfortunately, not going to be under the lights this year. I really wish it would, but I'm not going to complain too much because next week we have a road course at Watkins Glen. And I don't know about you, but I am kind of worn out from the road courses this season. I'm sure SVG will get his fourth win, so congrats to him. So even though shorter flat tracks are not the most exciting thing in the world, I better not hear you complain because I know you're going to be complaining even more next week at Watkins Glen. Anyway, if you're new here, what's up? My name is Chris Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Videos on Saturdays, live streams on Sunday. Planning for around 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern, so be there, be square, always a good time. And if you do enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for brand new, and dive right into it. All right, so let's talk some strategy here for Iowa. It is a shorter flat track. You get a little bit of banking in the corners, of course, but I would say the most similar tracks to it are going to be, I wouldn't say Martinsville. I mean, you can look at it because it's a short flat track, but I think Phoenix, New Hampshire, Richmond, Gateway, I think those styles probably fit Iowa a bit better. We do have 350 laps this weekend, so that's almost 250 total dominator points available to us, which means, yeah, dominators are going to be pretty important this week. So depending on qualifying, of course, if you get all the good guys in the back, which I'm not expecting to happen, but if that happened to be the case, yeah, maybe switch to one dom. But I would say for the most part, you're looking at 2 to 3 dominators per lineup this weekend, assuming the salary can account for that. And this is the only figure I'm going to show you guys this week because we have one race at Iowa, and that seems pretty pointless to look at. So we're looking at every short flat track race in the next gen era, which is a pretty large sample size. We're talking nearly 30 races, and that's why I like these shorter flat tracks, because we kind of just know what to expect from these drivers. Of course, there's surprises each week. In practice, we get a good amount of practice data, which always makes me feel more comfortable. So these are some of my more favorite DFS slates. But the top right here, I think we have 6 drivers, and if it's not one of these guys that wins, you are usually pretty shocked at these shorter flat tracks. It's Larson, Byron, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and Denny Hamlin. These are contenders, and these are the guys you should expect to be the best in qualifying, the best in practice, and probably the best during the race. Then you kind of have a tier break there to Ross Chastain. He's right there by himself. He's got a couple of wins at those tracks, even Phoenix, but definitely not quite on their level, especially as far as being a dominator. And then you have the next cluster, guys like Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, Chris Buescher, Bill Wallace, those types of drivers. Find DFS plays. I wouldn't really expect them to win, but can always sneak inside the top 10 as long as things go right for them. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, top right, those are your contenders, and that's really about all we got. And finally, moving on to the driver by driver breakdown. I do have to mention one thing first, and of course, it's a free video, guys, so let me do a plug and feed the donk. But if you want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, we do cover baseball every single day, even though we're in the second half of the season coming to an end. But we have NFL coming very soon. I've been working on that all off season, pretty similar to NASCAR as far as the data that I have, the tools, and whatnot. So very excited for NFL. It's been a very profitable sport for me over the years. But if you want to join, links down below in the description or the pinned comment for the Patreon. If you are a new user, you can sign up completely free for a week and test drive all the tools that I do have to offer. Now we'll go over everything we have on here because it'll take forever and I don't want to bore you to death. But if you want to pause or screenshot, be my guest. We not find this amount of data or tools available at the price tags that I have to offer. And trust me, I have looked. Everybody else needs you to take out a second mortgage on your house to be able to afford things these days. But we have the optimizer for DraftKings and FanDuel, cover trucks, Xfinity, and the Cup Series. We have the DraftKings Contest Simulator, which can set up to 10,000 lineups at once for whatever kind of contest you were in, cash games, tournaments, large field GPPs, small field tournaments, whatever. Maybe you can tailor suit it to your own needs. But yeah, lots of stuff over here and fun Discord, so I'd love to have you. And if not, that's totally fine. But let's get right into it. All right, it's a few minutes later. Practice and qualifying has concluded, and I think finally, of course, there's a couple of big PD spots, but I mean, as far as like the big names, like Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, we have none of those guys in the back. So the drivers that we expect to dominate are pretty much starting up front. There's a couple stragglers, maybe a little bit further back. I Tyler Reddick, the guy was outside the top 10. Christopher Bell was around 20th, but other than that, I'd say most of them finally didn't screw up in qualifying, which is nice. Now we do have some PD spots, like I mentioned. You can see the AK range full of PD. Ryan Preece at 33rd. There's going to be a couple of obvious spots, but not as bad as it has. It's not as bad as Denny Hamlin starting dead last at Indy. That's for sure. But we're going to head over to the practice results here and look at some of this data. We do have the consecutive lap averages here. I will look at that next, but I want to look at how I have them ranked. So what I do is I take their best raw 1 lap, 3 lap, 5 lap, 10 lap runs. Not exactly consecutive lap data. Now, if you want to look at all their laps, excluding some of the bad laps, we have Keselowski with the best average. A couple of the Fords up here. Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, Justin Haley's up there. But I think it's better to look at their best raw laps. I think this shows who has the better cars. And you're going to see Bill Wallace up top. William Byron tied there with them. And the consecutive lap runs, William Byron was excellent, but standard deviation as far as his lap times are concerned, pretty good. So not too much differentiation between the laps he was putting down throughout. William Byron's a little bit higher, same with Kyle Larson, but these guys look very fast. Alex Bowman, fast as well. Brad Keselowski, Chase Briscoe throws in the pole once again. I think it's like the 6th time this year, especially at this part of the season, from at least the recent weeks. It feels like every single week. Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott. So, I mean, the guys, a couple of these guys are higher than where I think they'll end up running during the race. Like Ryan Blaney's a little bit lower, Denny Hamlin's a little bit lower. I think they'll be top 5 contenders. If we look at the consecutive lap averages here, looks like William Byron won that. First in the 5, 10, and 15. Chase Elliott also looks really good in the long run here. Now, of course, not all these guys ran it, but decent amount still. In first in the 20, 25, 30. Chase Briscoe, top 10 across the boards on the pole. I mean, clean air track position, it's going to be huge. I'm sure he'll lead some, but he's not going to have like no competition. William Byron's right there with him and some really good cars. So we'll have to see what ends up happening, but Larson's up there. So it's basically the same drivers from this, which is nice when that ends up adding up. I feel like we haven't had the good amount of practice data in recent weeks, or some that really don't feel like we can use too much. But this week I do like the practice data that we got, and I would feel pretty comfortable at least mentioning it throughout. So let's go driver by driver. Let's break it down. We have the 5-figure range first. We have 5 drivers, and I gotta be honest, they all look pretty good. I mean, they're expensive for a reason. These are the guys that we expect to dominate, expect to win the race, contend to win the race at the very least. But we have 2 guys in the top 5, 3 in the top 6, 2 that offer a little bit of place differential. Now, I will tell you right now, I think Christopher Bell could end up being the most highly owned. We know how good he is at shorter flat tracks. And it's not like you can't afford multiple of these drivers. It's really not going to be difficult. So when you get a guy that was really fast in practice, first in the 1 lap, which he wasn't the fastest overall car, but a lot of people just look at the 1 lap and that might just boost ownership. And then he starts mid-pack. He's a guy that we know can win at these style of tracks. If we want to look at, so the track history, what I did was the most recent short flat tracks. We only have 1 Iowa race, and then I added Iowa as well. But Bell is the best in the sample size, 3.5 average finish, the best running position, the most wins, tied for the most top 5s, the most dominator points. Like, it's really hard not to like Bell. So I'll have to run projections. Obviously, his dominator point projection is not going to be able to be as high as guys like, say, William Byron, Kyle Larson, just because of where he's starting. Because you have to move through the field, and not having track position can definitely hurt, or not having the best pit stall. But I think he might make the most sense for cash games currently, at least from a 4 perspective, because he could still win this race and dominate. That's absolutely possible. Denny Hamlin also offers some PD. He starts 6 spots further up as Bell. I mean, they're in the same category, but at that point, I'd rather take Bell. Not to say I'm going to have exposure to all of these guys. You just have to. I think mixing and matching is going to be the best way to go. But Bell somewhat seems the safest. Kyle Larson, William Byron, basically the same play. Larson was probably the best car last year until he had his issues and gave away to Ryan Blaney dominating and winning the rest of the race. So he has that working for him. I mean, all these guys look fantastic. Byron probably has the best car, at least on paper, compared to everybody else, but it is very close. I will split my Byron and Larson exposure pretty much the same. I mean, you get the $500 extra savings with William Byron, so maybe that leads you to just a little bit more of him, but I see no reason to say that either of them is too much different from each other. I mean, their short flat track stats are pretty similar, practice pretty similar. To me, it's the same play. I would have a hard time really saying much else. And then Ryan Blaney's coming off the win last year. I could see him just being popular because of that. We know he's great at short flat tracks. Last year, it was Ryan Blaney, it was Christopher Bell, and that's how you win money at short flat tracks. If you want to go that route, that's fine by me. You can easily afford 2 of these 10K drivers. If you want to go Blaney and Bell, no problem at all with me. And I just feel like right now, Bell will probably be my highest owned just because of the starting position. But pairing him with one of the guys that can also dominate up front, I think is probably a really good way to go. 9K range, some interesting plays here. Chase Elliott looked like he had a really fast car. We looked in practice, looked at the lap by lap data here, and he's in the top 10 as far as my rankings. Some really good laps put down. I don't see any reasons to not like Chase. It looks like he's got a really good long run car as well. I could see him being a really solid tournament play. Ryan Blaney is probably going to project better, but I wouldn't say there's too far off in projection. We just don't really see Chase Elliott dominate races too often. Now, we did see it at Dover. He was gifted the pole position, clean air at Dover. I mean, that's just magical. But short flat tracks are pretty good for him. Martinsville is usually his dominator track at these style of tracks, but I don't hate getting to some Chase Elliott in tournaments. Tyler Reddick does have place differential, but I gotta say his car didn't look amazing. Consecutive lap runs put him right around 15th to 20th place, which is kind of concerning at $9,500. I mean, the place differential is nice. If we're looking at his lap by lap numbers here, Reddick's coming in at 12.4 for his ranking, which, I mean, yeah, he's probably going to move up, but we need a little bit more than that. At these price tags, we need guys that I think can probably dominate, and I don't see Tyler Reddick doing that. And he's not the best short flat track racer in the world. Like, he's not bad. He can top 5. He can get some dominator points and fast laps, but I would be pretty shocked if he got up front at some point. Joey Logano, horrible in practice one. I think at the very beginning, he jumped up near the top, but then after that, it was just a big fall. 36, 36, 33rd, and 22nd. And if we're looking at this over here, he was also second to last in lap by lap data. It's concerning. They did all qualify well. The Penske car, Cindric's up there, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, but I think it's unlikely Joey dominates. And at that price tag, I just think there's better ways to go. Like, we have Chase Briscoe on the pole here at $9,000. He's starting in first. There's a lot of laps in this race. If he can just come out and lead 50, 60 laps, as long as he doesn't screw it up too bad in this race. And it's not like this is a track like Indy where the field could get flipped quite easily. So I think Chase Briscoe is fairly safe. He's going to have a good dominator score here. I'm not 100% sure we're going to call him a cash play yet, but if you wanted to save some money from like a Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell start, you could go Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell, and then you'll have a lot more leeway to work with. I'm going to be very curious to see what my model likes as far as Chase Briscoe's dominator potential, but when he starts on the pole, I mean, he's shown the ability to be able to hold that lead for a bit and just be a contender throughout the entire race. And he's a good short track racer, so I really don't have too many concerns with Chase Briscoe because he's in a great car. 8K range, this is where we get the PD plays. Buescher's in 27th, Ross Chastain's in 28th, who's pretty much the best car in practice, and the Group 1, I should say. The only issue is there wasn't very many good cars in Group 1, and as you can see, those numbers definitely took a bit of a slide. And then we have Kyle Busch, who ends up destroying his car. He was pretty quick early on in Group 1, but like I said, very weak group, and those numbers definitely got killed a bit. But he starts dead last. He's cheap. In cash games, you got to play him. It's never going to feel too good playing Kyle Busch, but as you can see, he's not quite mid-pack in the speed score here, but for where he starts, he finishes 18th, you're taking it, especially in cash games. Of course, in GPPs, there's definitely other ways to get different. Like if you want to pivot off of Kyle Busch for a Chris Buescher or a Ross Chastain, I'm not saying they're going to be low owned, but that's very easy to do. They look quicker in practice. I wouldn't have an issue with that, and they'll have place differential. But if you're looking for nice, solid, safe floor cash plays, 8K range right here is absolutely a good start. Josh Berry will be a pivot off of these guys. He's a good short track racer. Didn't show too much in practice. If you're looking at the overall lap data here, he's at the very bottom. The speed's been lacking from Josh Berry that we saw earlier in the season, which is definitely a concern. I mean, it's just so much easier to click on these guys, which is what I'm most likely going to do. Like we could say Josh Berry's a fine pivot, sure, but let's be honest, clicking on his name is going to be a lot tougher because projections are not going to be anywhere close. 7K range, Ty Gibbs might be a little interested there. Starts 8 spots further back than Josh Berry. I mean, we're talking 7K for a JGR car, 7K on Vandal flat. Starting at 20th, he's been better. He's shown the ability to be able to run in the top 10 after a horrible start to the season. Practice puts him in the top 10 as far as the long run is concerned. 9th in the 10, 6th in the 15, 7th in the 20. Take a look behind the curtain here. Pretty much mid-pack, maybe a little bit better than mid-pack for Ty Gibbs. So he's 100% in the player pool. I would like him more than Josh Berry currently, I would say. Brad Keselowski's got a little bit of dominator upside. I would throw, if you're making a dom pool this week, I would throw him in there. I mean, he's cheap. He starts 5th. If he just runs top 8 all day and steals fast laps, that puts him firmly in the GPP pool. Like him more than Hocevar. We know Hocevar has had race winning speed in some races this season. I kind of like him at the larger ovals a bit better. He's a tough guy to trust. Like, he can be fast in this race. I have no doubt about that. But trusting him throughout every single stage, making pit stops, making green flag stops, if it gets to that point, that's when things go bad for Carson Hocevar. So that's another concern there. I feel a little bit more comfortable with Brad personally. And then the next 3 though, like the first 3 we talked about are just tournament plays. The next 3, I love the price tags. I don't see any reason why Bubba Wallace is $7,200, especially coming out the win. I mean, he's been good this year. When he is not wrecking out or having issues, he's typically contending inside the top 10. And shout out to Bubba last week. Incredible run at the end. Survived the restart, survived everything. Held up Kyle Larson, not easy to do. So congrats to him. But yeah, Bubba in 15th, Alex Bowman in 16th. He started in the 30s last year. Had an average running position inside the top 10 last season at this track. Was optimal. I mean, we're talking $7,100 for a Hendrick car, $7,200 for Bubba, who can run top 10, and they were both pretty fast in practice. Like, we peel behind the curtain again. I mean, Bowman was 4th in this ranking, and then we have a Wallace, in first. I was looking down the board, but yeah, he's in first here. So I think these are excellent tournament plays. Like, they're cheaper than Josh Berry. Maybe they're not known as short trackers like Berry, but I mean, they start further back, great in practice. I like it a lot. They got good cars. And Ryan Preece is another good cash play here. Starts in 33rd. We know these are his style of tracks. And I play Berry every single, not Berry, Ryan Preece every single week. I was able to take down a single entry last week with Ryan Preece. I pivoted off of Ross Chastain for Preece, like we talked about in the live show. Ended up working splendidly. Finished 4th compared to dead last for Ross Chastain. Maybe I got a little bit lucky because he wrecked. But yeah, I mean, I love Preece here, and he's definitely going to be a cash staple. 6K range, Cindric. I can't do it. I just can't. I don't know how you click on Cindric here. Very difficult to do. Dion Swartz is probably going to run back there. AJ Allmendinger starting a bit too high for me. I know track position's the name of the game. Probably going to run good stage 1. We'll see once we start getting pit stops, and most likely it just ends up fading back. SVG, getting a little bit better at the ovals here. It's not like a large oval, so I don't think it's going to be as much of a concern for SVG. Starts in 21st, basically practice there. I still think he fades back a bit. I'm going to guess I have him projected to probably to finish around 25th, which doesn't seem too appealing. In 21st, Austin Dillon, another guy that probably runs similar to where he runs. I'll have him probably projected to finish 23rd if I had to guess. I think 23rd, 24th make the most sense there. John Nemechek, amazing last week. I'm sure he kind of goated for everybody. Practiced pretty well. 15th in the 5, 15th in the 10. If we look at the lap by lap data here for Nemechek, puts him right around 20th. He is starting in what? 29th? Yeah. John Nemechek, not similar play to last week because he started dead last and there was like no good cheap plays, but I still think he could definitely improve upon this 29th place for sure. Eric Jones kind of in a similar boat, but I do prefer Nemechek currently. Their projection is probably going to be a difference of like a few points if I had to guess. McDowell seems unplayable in 13th. 5K range, Gregson, just he wrecks every week. I don't know how you could trust Noah Gregson. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., early wreck last week. I'm not sure. I think he ran into the back of somebody because there was a stack up, but I didn't really see what happened. It was unfortunate. I ended up coming back out and stealing a couple of spots, but that's he's cheap, starts in 30th. It's fine. I mean, Todd Gilliland starts in 34th, so you give me a couple extra PD spots there. Justin Haley starts way too high. Custer starts too high. Ty Dillon. I cannot get Ty Dillon right to save my life. Practice wasn't horrible. 19th, 24th, 23rd. He starts in 32nd. He's 5K. If we're looking at what he's done in short flat tracks, talking average finish to 19.3, running position at 25th, 3 top 20s in a 4-race sample size. Could be worse. I mean, he's $4,900. If you were, $5,000. If you're trying to get Blaney Bell, Briscoe in, and that's the only way to make it work, yeah, by all means, go for it. Riley Herbst starting 24th. I wish he was starting a little bit further back. If you swap the starting positions between him and Ty Dillon, I would say go with Herbst, but I'll just take the extra PD with Ty. And I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if Ty Dillon pops my optimal because it's trying to jam in these studs. And then Cody Ware, Joey Gase. Ware was actually kind of quick in practice. If we look at his numbers, at least in the first group, Cody Ware ended up being overall right here, but usually we see him at the bottom. So he had the good one lap in the first group for a bit, but ended up fading, of course, because group 2 was so much better. So I would say Cody Ware, I mean, if compared to Joey Gase, who should not even be here, I mean, looking at his number, 25.1 for his best one lap, that's a second worse than the next guy. So, I mean, he's just going to be a lap machine forever, how long that 66 car ends up rolling. But for me personally, Ty Dillon seems like the best absolute punt as of right now because of the price point. With that being said, that's all I got for today's video. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, or even if you didn't, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're brand new. If any questions, comments, concerns, or check out all the extra content over on Patreon. Links down below in the description or the pinned comment for that. I wish you the best. I'll see you in the live stream tomorrow, and see you all next time.